A 7-mile shipping lane is reopening in the Strait of Hormuz, yet a tanker has already been struck nearby, a reminder that even small signs of calm in the Gulf can vanish fast. Welcome to the Automated Daily, Top News Edition, the podcast created by Generative AI. It's August 26th, 2026, and I'm Trent Teller. Coming up, Washington shifts its tone on Iran. Canada sharpens its trade fight with the United States, a surprise CIA visit to Moscow, and a fresh warning that so-called killer robots are moving faster than the rules meant to contain them. This episode is brought to you by 11 Labs. 11 Labs lets you discover the future of AI audio with cutting-edge voice technology. Find the link in the episode notes. We'll start in the Gulf, where the story we've been following took a cautious turn. Iran says it has agreed with Oman on a temporary 7-mile transit corridor through the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian officials are making clear this is not a full reopening, but even a limited route matters because so much of the world's energy trade depends on that waterway. At the same time, Washington is signaling it does not expect new strikes on Iran for now and is leaning more on sanctions, maritime pressure, and diplomacy. That shift comes after reports that recent Iranian missile and drone attacks caused unusually severe damage to U.S. intelligence and surveillance systems in the region. And the risk is still very real. A tanker has now been hit off the coast of Oman, showing that any sense of stability remains extremely fragile. Elsewhere in the Middle East, President Trump has formally sent a 30-year nuclear cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia to Congress. The deal is being framed as part of a broader diplomatic package that could include movement towards Saudi normalization with Israel. Supporters will present it as strategic statecraft, but critics are already zeroing in on nuclear safeguards, human rights concerns, and the possibility of fueling a regional arms race. In a separate development, Israel has seized a UNRWA training center near occupied East Jerusalem, prompting the Palestinian presidency to call for urgent action at the UN Security Council. Together, those moves add more strain to an already crowded regional agenda. In North America, the trade dispute between Canada and the United States has escalated again. Canada says it will impose retaliatory tariffs of up to 50% on roughly $20 billion worth of U.S. goods starting September 8, after negotiations with Washington broke down. The measures cover a wide range of products, and the bigger issue here is not just politics but everyday cost. When two tightly linked economies start raising barriers, prices can rise quickly and supply chains can get messy. On the security front, CIA Director John Ratcliffe made a surprise visit to Moscow, spending only a few hours there before leaving. The agency is not saying what the trip was about, which naturally invites speculation. In moments like this, short and quiet intelligence visits often suggest risk management, private messaging, or an attempt to keep dangerous rivalries from drifting further out of control. Meanwhile, in Asia, the United States says it will hold trilateral military exercises with South Korea and Japan. That matters because it shows Washington still wants visible alliance coordination in Northeast Asia, even as its exercise posture elsewhere has been adjusted. At the United Nations, the UN and the Red Cross have issued a joint warning that the dangers around lethal autonomous weapons are getting worse. In plain terms, they are talking about weapons systems that could select and strike targets with very limited human control. Their message is simple. The technology is moving quickly, and the legal and ethical rules are not keeping up. This is one of those stories that sounds futuristic, but policymakers clearly see it as an immediate problem. In China, artist Gao Zhen has been sentenced after being convicted of insulting Chinese heroes through works that mocked Mao Zedong. Human rights observers see the case as another sign of how laws meant to protect national symbols are being used to suppress criticism and satire. The significance goes beyond one artist. Cases like this tend to send a message to the wider cultural scene about what is no longer safe to say in public. Back in the United States, immigration enforcement figures are drawing attention. ICE arrests reached nearly 50,000 in July, the highest monthly total of President Trump's second term so far. Supporters of the crackdown will call that proof of tougher enforcement, while critics warn that detention space, court capacity, and due process are all under heavier strain. Either way, the scale of the increase means immigration is staying at the center of U.S. political debate. And finally, in the space industry, SpaceX says it wants to spend as much as $100 billion building a major launch facility in Louisiana for its Starship rockets. If it goes forward, the project would deepen the company's influence over U.S. launch capacity and create a major new Gulf Coast space hub. But as with many large industrial projects, the promise of jobs and investment is already being weighed against environmental concerns and the impact on nearby communities. Thanks to our sponsor, SurveyMonkey. Don't just know what happened, know why. SurveyMonkey can help you unlock insights by combining feedback with operational data to get vital context. Find the link in the episode notes. Those are the top stories for August 26th, 2026. The Gulf shipping situation, the US-Canada trade fight, and that quiet Moscow visit are all stories worth watching closely. I'm Trend Teller, and this was the Automated Daily Top News Edition. Thanks for listening.